Good day mga ka-research. This is Doc Jan and welcome to Doc Jan's Research Corner. In this video, I will share to you tips how you can put substance to your initial research concept. In the previous video, I shared how you can jumpstart your research project. So if you have not watched the video, kindly find time to check it so that you will have the necessary background to understand the new lesson that we have today. This time I will give more emphasis on how to convert research gaps, research limitations, and other literature information to develop your research framework. So, are you ready? Good. As mentioned in the previous video, may mga sections sa isang research article kung saan mas makakakuha po tayo ng guidance or insights kung anong research project ang ating gawin within a certain research conversation or a certain research space. These sections are discussion, limitations, or implications part of a research article. Again, discussion, limitations, or implications part of a research article. To illustrate how you can extract insights from these sections to better develop your research framework, let us consider a research conversation pertaining to reading comprehension of children. With this, let us assume that you are interested in contributing to this conversation or in this subject matter regarding how reading comprehension of children can be improved. In your literature search, you encountered this research article by Isabel Chang. When you examine the article, particularly on page 10 of the PDF, you get to understand that Chang tested a structural equation model that describes her theory of how selected variables influence reading comprehension. May mga mediator variable siyang inaral, yung binilugan ko ng green. Of course, rinesent niya ang mga results based on the data she gathered about the variables in the model. Hindi muna natin i-discuss ang meaning ng model niya at ang mga results niya. Kasi nga, ang goal natin is to extract insights from the discussion or limitation section that can help you beef up your research concept related to reading comprehension. With this, let us go to the discussion section, which is on page 11 of the PDF. Apparently, Chang did a substantial discussion of her results by letting the reader understand the meaning of the findings and at the same time by correlating what she found out with what other researchers have discovered. When you examine the third paragraph, you will start to see insights that can guide you develop your research concept related to reading comprehension. For example, she discussed in the statement I highlighted in blue that the model she tested is relatively good, but while this is remarkable, it also suggests that other factors not examined in this study are likely essential for explaining variation in reading comprehension. Examining the direct and indirect effects and discovering dynamic mediators that can help transmit the executive function effects to increase the total effects of executive function on academic achievement is a valuable extension of this existing work. And the statement which I highlighted green is something you can consider gold in relation to your goal of extracting literature guidance to develop your research framework. Future work is needed to better examine the influence of additional factors in accounting for individual differences in reading and examining how these factors account for shared or unique variance in reading achievement. There is another valuable literature information that you can extract on the next page. The statement which I highlighted blue states, future studies could use quadratic growth curve modeling to examine the influence of working memory and cognitive flexibility on reading over time, longer than the current kindergarten through second grade data. Napakaganda ng articulation ni Chang dito kasi she went to the extent of identifying a methodological approach that can extend significantly what she found out in this present research. Ito talaga ang nature ng quality research article that I mentioned in the previous video. Pero ang bigyan natin ng focus ay yung articulation ni Chang on the third paragraph of the discussion section. Looking more closely into this statement, you can extract two essential guidance. One, you can extract what variables you can possibly consider in your research. Two, you can extract information about what variable relationships you can explore to extend her work. These two insights are the ones that you need to develop a well-grounded research framework. In terms of variables, the discussion mentions reading comprehension, executive function or EF, and dynamic mediators. The dynamic mediators are not specifically identified, so you need to do your assignment by looking into other references that could provide you with insights what the other dynamic mediators could be. In terms of variable relationships, it implies mediating relationship having mentioned mediator variables. This relationship is also given clarification when you examine the statement that talked about direct and indirect effects. Kasi you can only look into direct and indirect effects of certain variables within the context of mediating effect relationship of variables. Putting these various information together, you can now start to draw the initial broad strokes of your research concept. What I have shown here is a possible picture of the variables identified in the literature information and their relationships. In the picture, which we also commonly know as the schematic diagram of the research concept, you see prospective mediator variables, the ones in green boxes. As mentioned earlier, malalaman mo lang ang mga ito if you read other pieces of literature. When you dig further into the literature, it could be na may tatlo kang ma-identify na mediators of the effect of executive function towards reading comprehension. So, magiging ganito most likely ang diagram ng research concept mo. In reality, there is a better way of rendering or picturing out the frameworks. But that is not our focus this time. What I have shown in this video is a literature-based approach in developing a research concept. I also illustrated how you can start putting substance to your concept by developing a research framework or a schematic diagram that is based on the literature information that you have extracted from the discussion part, the limitations part, or the implications part of a research article. Ang importante po ay guided ng literature ang research concept at research framework natin. Ito yung kinukonsider natin na isa sa mga essential building blocks of a sound research proposal. In reality, there are other approaches to research concept development or research framework development that you may have encountered before or may encounter in the future. What you can do is to marry these approaches to work for your favor. So I hope you have learned a thing or two in this video. In the meantime, kindly share this video if it has helped you in one way or another, or if you have a friend whom you think could benefit from it. I would appreciate if you could share insights or comments below. You could also suggest topics which you like me to discuss in the future. Before I will end, thanks to all who liked, commented, or shared the previous video. I noticed in the comments somebody recommended forecasting as a future topic to discuss. For sure, I will consider that when we will reach topics on data analysis. Till next, mga ka-research, continue researching. And blessings everyone.